All right. Well, today we're talking with Kevin Goodman, a longtime friend. I almost said old friend, but we're still young bucks, Kevin, right? He's the managing director and partner of BlueBridge Networks, and there's some exciting news for BlueBridge and the city this week. You know, Kevin, we've been around computers and technology for a long time, so we both know how important it is to have access to the benefits of modern technology and then to bring that access to everyone. So I know that you personally and your family and BlueBridge Networks have been longtime supporters of working to bridge the digital divide by yourself and now with organizations like DigitalC. What's your take on the whole digital divide and your commitment to bridging that?
Well, it's an interesting thing. We named our company BlueBridge Networks, and my brother named it actually on the Cuyahoga River, looking up at the big Blue Bridge, and said, "Spanning the technology divide." And the idea is very similar. Bridging the technology divide is an element of spanning the technology divide. And like you said, and like you and your family have done very specifically through the years with aiding in computers and caps and such, you really understand the dynamics of bridging the gap and the digital divide, and all of us doing our part, whether it's through computers or infrastructure, training, teaching, certifications, assisting in workforce development in so many ways. But specifically in terms of DigitalC and what gap they're filling is oftentimes you'll have redlined areas, if you will. I know it's sometimes a political statement, but the point is there are areas, for whatever reason, technology does not reach people, and typically, unfortunately, it's because there's no money to be made. They can't charge what they can charge a mile away, and so there's no investment. And DigitalC and organizations like it is more about high availability, reliability, security, compliance, and allowing those who, but for this kind of effort, otherwise would not enjoy this kind of connectivity and the kind of connectivity that you and I, Dan, take for granted.
Right.
Streaming, research, entertainment, resumes, job search, and all these things that people, you or I do, they can't. The connectivity, and so that digital divide isn't really helpful in terms of improving people with poverty, the quality of life, with connecting them into various opportunities. You hand deliver a resume and most answers come via the internet.
Yeah.
You have internet, you don't know if you got the job or not. And again, that's an oversimplification, but it's really an opportunity to improve the quality of life so that in a web and data-centric world, people who but for wouldn't have connectivity now will.
Well, that's, as well as anyone, and anyone in technology really knows how important redundancy is. Despite the best planning, the best processes, all this. I mean, look at Microsoft and CrowdStrike just last week. You can be huge, do everything right and things happen. So we have this big announcement this week that's going to work toward preventing problems and improving things. And tell us a little about this expansion to the second data center with BlueBridge, with DigitalC's project.
So it's a great question. There's a lot of ways to answer it, but specifically around infrastructure and redundancy and how that helps meet this mission. In a data center, you have many, many telcos or peering points. And this is an example of that. So in an office building or in your home, you may have one telco. Maybe you connect to Spectrum, maybe you connect to WOW, maybe, there aren't two or three coming into your home and or your office. But in a case like, our building at 1255 Euclid Avenue and the BlueBridge 5th and 2nd floors, there's 200 last mile carriers. And so what does that mean to an opportunity like DigitalC? Is there's multiple easy access, and now it's a competitive marketplace, right? It's not here where's our office in the Tech Hive, which they have a really cool and beautiful office, and they're part of that, Midtown reestablishment and growth. But there aren't multiple telcos, and so it does them little value. By being in a data center, they have peering access to so many more tier one telcos, so many more highly available, reliable, many who participate in state term or E-rate. So there are many like-minded telcos that will be sympathetic, if you will, or supportive is maybe even a better word of again meeting the mission and lend their assets in a similar way. The other thing is being in a data center, we're third-party audited for many different types of compliances, and they can leverage that.
Okay.
They don't have to spend that kind of money to audit the infrastructure in their office, for example. They can use our audits and the compliance levels to provide to their auditors and to strengthen their controls and their operational rules and policies and procedures. And so that's one thing. And then, in the age today of privacy and ransomware and breaches and all, they can leverage also the products and services and the people here to bring a more resilient cyber defense to the project. And then the data center finally has absurdity of redundancies in power, cooling, controls, logical, physical. We can go up and down the line. And if something is down, there's something else. For example, in our data center, our flagship facility, we have two separate substations from two separate providers, and they come in 4 ways. So if one line is cut or one substation's down, the other one picks it up. And then if they're both down, for whatever crazy reason, we have these generators that are larger than the floor and that can last 2 weeks without refueling. And then, so there's something and another that keeps it up all the time. And I've been here 19 years, and knock on wood, we've never breached an SLA around anything and service level agreement. And so a group like DigitalC coming here and us being committed to their success and helping them meet their mission affords them an opportunity, quite frankly, to be in a world-class facility that allows them to reduce costs and improve efficiencies.
Yeah, so they can concentrate on what they do best. You're, like you say, 19 years, you data center guys, this. You've got, besides the redundancy now of the two data centers, you've got your internal redundancy there. So like you say, if lightning strikes a cable or whatever, or someone, a truck pulls in, knocks the building down or something, you've got these other redundancies. So it allows DigitalC to do their mission. You do what you do best, and the ultimate, the customer, the person benefits from this, the scalability, the synchronicity, all those things. And no one really has to worry about it because you're worrying about your data center. They're worried about their mission, and the customer's just clicking and connecting.
Yeah, that's precisely it. It allows them to mature. And when they talk about delivering a world-class product or an equal product to what one of the major tier one telcos would bring if they were there, what we're doing for them is removing those single points of failure that otherwise does not allow them to be at that level. The intention is good, the mission is good, the connectivity is there, but these kinds of redundancies and these kinds of leveraging infrastructure reduce costs, improve efficiencies, yes, but they also eliminate multiple single points of failure so that the high availability to their end user is there.
There's a lot more details, technical details and so on that people can find out at BlueBridgeNetworks.com or the DigitalC webpage or something. But let me ask one more question. I think it's important. You gave your address, and I think people who haven't been to BlueBridge, you can always tell them, look for the chandelier at Playhouse Square and you just kind of catty corner to that. So you're a Cleveland company, you're Cleveland family, Cleveland business, Cleveland person. This is your city, even though you have clients and relationships outside, but you've always been supporters of the land. And we've got DigitalC here, a handful of miles away, and it's this connection here of Clevelanders being involved with other Clevelanders and the Cleveland companies to help Clevelanders. What's your whole take on the Cleveland connection?
Well, Dan, you and I have spoken a lot and share a lot of values and actions in many, many areas around loving and serving, let's call it. There's a lot of ways to call it. It's service. And, we do it out of a passion and an enthusiasm, and it's what I would term our avocation. And what we do in our avocation brings more standing and credibility to our vocation, that in which we do day to day. And that's always been in the DNA of BlueBridge. The differentiator from me, us, and many of our great competitors, and we have a lot of great competitors in a lot of different areas of business and the business lines that we deliver, is we're home owned and operated. The dollars stay here. We live here. We're in the sandlots with your children. We're in the church pew. We're in the temple. We're on your boards, and so on and so forth. So we're vested. And it allows us an opportunity to demonstrate our commitment to the community. And these kinds of efforts, everybody has a few things that are most important to them. And digital connectivity, to me, is a human right. And for us to bridge that gap and to allow, I'll tell you, here's a factual story that is why this happened. Two real quick things. Number one, the early CEO and founder, Dorothy Bonnick and Lev Bonnick, people like that who have been highly involved in a very established and senior way. Dorothy was the CEO and helped found this and get it off and brought the people to the table and the industry and the families and the foundations. And she came to me early on and talked about the mission. And I thought it was fascinating. And I wanted to be a part of it. When I first came into the tech business, there was Nortec, and you might recall right. Dorothy put on an event, Visioning 2020. And that was a long time ago.
Yeah.
And here we are, 2024. And the point of that is this. I went to Dorothy. She did not know me. And I asked her because I liked what I saw, and I wanted to be like her. And I thought she could help me. And part of my career, and I always advocate, is to have a mentor or mentors. And she said yes, and for a number of years, she helped me in a lot of ways. So when she came to me, it wasn't just this was a really cool mission I want to be involved with. I had something to return, the favor, if you will. She helped me in many great ways, which helped my company, my family, and so on. But there's one story that was really personal around COVID, and which, as Beju Shaw's found us saying, we're all in, and as the Cavs used to say a lot. And why I became all in is the story about students sitting outside of the libraries, either the Cleveland Public Library or the county libraries, and, leaders like Felton Thomas and others making sure that when these kids came up near the building, near the closed building, they could get connectivity. And yes, that's a good effort and it's a cool thing, and they did it, and that's how a lot of students got by. But I thought, once again, the idea of a human right, of connectivity in a web and data-centric world, here you have these students, God bless them.
Yeah.
They're sitting outside the library so they can do their homework.
Yeah.
I mean, Chagrin Falls, Bay Village, Rocky River, Cleveland Heights, Shaker Heights, Garfield, whatever. That's not
right
a typical problem, although I'm sure there are, low percentages here and there. But I never forgot the story, not just how proud I was and how happy I was to say, here's the next generation. You know, when you talk about, do they have the right work ethic? Are they going to be, here they are. That's a demonstration of a work ethic. However, shouldn't be that hard. And I wanted to be a part of this, not just because Dorothy lit my fire, if you will, but that story and that truth of those children sitting outside the library doing their homework.
That's a good one.
To this day, it's still very moving to me. And to be able to cut that down and make that a, you know, one day, hopefully a non-event. And then finally, I'm very captivated by a lot of things that the Mayor Bibb administration is doing and the newness and his leadership and, you know, around technology, and neighborhoods and poverty and things that really need work in the city. And I think that me being a part of this and others that are included, you know, the Myers Foundation, Mandel's, all the different donors and grants and the state, city, the city council, you know, this just demonstrates to me another way in which the mayor is proving, you know, that he will make Cleveland a smart, walkable city, you know. And when your students in the CMSD all have access, like all of the students around them in the inner ring suburbs or other suburbs, you've done a tremendous thing. There are people in high rises, low income, that are now connected. There are neighborhoods that there was no physical connectivity to even buy, even if you had the money, that are now connected. So it's not just students, elderly, but also, you know, homeless people,
Right.
who I know firsthand have been allowed access, internet access. And so once again, the resume, the homeless person who may want to move out of being homeless and working hard, whether it's through mental health work or a vocational work, they push out a resume. Once again, how do they push that resume out? How do they get the answers?
Yeah.
How do they continue to communicate and dialogue? Or how do they even find the job posting? It's just an amazing thing when you think about all the ways that this kind of mission can change the quality of life. And it's getting done, you know, and it's growing, and it's something that I'm really grateful to be a part of, because coming into work, and if it were just the four walls of the data center, quite frankly, I'd be climbing them. You'd go crazy. But when you come in and you see that the work that we do, you know, it's patient information, it's transactional data, you know, tens of thousands of jobs are behind the data center and the work that we do. But what's really meaningful is when you can think that what I do allows someone to improve the quality of life, to get a job, to have access to health care, you know, to have some entertainment that we all share, to level the playing field in a way. You know, I think it's great. And I think there's so many parties that are involved in this mission, and a lot of the people that I've spoken about, you know, well, and you know the seeds that they planted early on. And it's kind of cool to see all this come to fruition today.
Yeah. You know, it's to the business community and the tech community, reading the press release, and this is cool. There's a second data center, and it's going to be a BlueBridge, and there's, you know, here's some of the technical specs and all that stuff and all. But when you put it in the perspective that you just did of the people who are being served by this and will be served don't even realize, you know, it's like, you don't have to see how the sausage is being made. You just want that sausage there, and you guys are doing this back end stuff and the protection and redundancy and all, so that they can have the benefits that so many of us enjoy without even really appreciating it that much. And it's, so it's really, you know, it's a great thing for the business community. It's a great thing for the tech community, but it's really good for Cleveland and its people. And, you know, that's, it's good news. And I'm glad a company like, BlueBridge is having this success, and, couldn't happen to better people. So, congratulations to you, Kevin, and BlueBridge Networks. We've got Kevin Goodman here today, the managing director and partner of BlueBridge Networks. And you can see more about this data center launch with DigitalC that's going to be at BlueBridge, at BlueBridgeNetworks.com or the DigitalC website. Thanks, Kevin.
You know, Dan, this is our 20th celebration, 20th year. And this is an exciting time to be in Cleveland and to be in the technology community. As you know, how I think and feel about the Bibb administration and all of the unification in the city and all of the great events that we've hosted, and we're on the map.
Yeah.
And this is just another way of stepping up, because Cleveland is on some lists that aren't so pretty, and they're around poverty. And some of our school kids, you know, some statistics say 1 in 4 or 1 in 5 have food hunger issues every day. And so there's a lot of work to be done, even though it's a great time to be alive and there's great opportunity in the city. It's also a time where all of us can help in many and varied ways. And in my viewpoint, bringing access to the web, to the internet, to technology, teaching, training. You know, Joshua and his leadership at DigitalC is amazing. And the team he's built, they're not just smart, but they're fun to work with. They're good people, and they love what they do. And the passion and enthusiasm shows. Jose, Adrian, and all, there's some really great people over there that all the tech people should get to know. Go visit them at the Tech Hive. They have events, I think, once a month on Fridays. Get to know them, see what they're doing, and see where you can help them.
So this is another win for Cleveland, and like you say, let's keep it going, and appreciate your time today.
Dan, it's great to see you. My best to you and your family, and we'll talk soon.
All right, talk to you.